So my name is Brad Bernthal. This is going to be a ton of fun. I saw many of these teams last week for the semifinals, and we're in for a real treat tonight. I think this is, it's fair to say, the deepest NVC IT track that we've seen over the years. It's going to be a lot of fun, so excited about that. A couple things to baseline. First, purpose of the New Venture Challenge, threefold. First is to collapse the campus. So you're going to see people coming from all areas of the campus, despite the fact that this has somewhat of a geek orientation. You will not just see geeks, although you will see plenty of geeks. Collapse the campus is the first goal. Second is connect campus and community. There's roughly about half people from the campus in here, half from the community, and that's really part of the spirit of the NVC. Third is to have some fun and inspire people to pursue entrepreneurship and careers in innovation and emerging companies. That means whooping, hollering, all that kind of stuff is totally welcome tonight. Second, and this is directed to the teams. There's 9 of you. 8 of you will know that the judges got the wrong answer tonight, which is totally fine. There is something called the 24-hour rule, however, which means no bitching about the results tonight until 24 hours has elapsed between the announcement of the results and the result itself. It will save you from making a grave mistake going forward. 24-hour rule before you reach out to that. And finally, it is my pleasure to get to introduce tonight's judges, which I seem to have misplaced my notes. First, making his first finals judging appearance, public company CFO from Zayo, also an entrepreneur by way of background. He was the CEO of Envision. Please help me welcome Matt Steinfurt. Second, she says she's not judged here before, although my recollection was different, but I suspect that she's probably right about this. Serial entrepreneur, started a company called Kerpoof, which provided digital tools for children to play and create creative art. That was acquired by Disney. She is now working on a company that specializes in teaching math to grades 6 through 8, if I've got it right, especially algebra related math. Please help me give a warm welcome to Krista Marks. Finally, Julian, what year is this for you in terms of the IT track judging?
The second year judging.
Okay. Making his 32nd year return here, anchoring the judging panel. Julian Ferrier is an entrepreneur and is a ton of fun to hear speak if you've not heard him speak before. Founder of Backflip. Before that was with, and I should say Backflip Studios. And before that was with Yahoo. Please help me give a warm welcome to Julian Ferrier.
Thanks, Brad.
All right, Mackenzie, take it away.
All right. So first up, we have Dikshitha Thuma and Rachel Platt, and they're going to tell you about Beauty Book.
Do you need to test this?
Yep, testing. Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. So let's start. This is what makeup looked like 50 years ago. It was a social requirement for women and was seen as a way to try and achieve impossible standards of beauty. This is what makeup has grown to today. It's now seen as a form of art, expression, creativity, and self-confidence. Like many other art forms, makeup users enjoy sharing their looks and finding inspiration from others, and social media has become a great place for this. Every month, there are over 27,000 searches for makeup looks online, and these makeup users spend on average $43 per shopping trip on makeup. Now, if this isn't you, it might be someone else in your life. So, imagine you're going out tonight and you see this gorgeous look on Instagram that you wanted to try and recreate. But all you have is this photo. You don't know what products they used or what steps they took to achieve the look. So now you're left rummaging through your makeup trying to figure out what to do. Or maybe you yourself created this beautiful look and wanted to store the information, such as the steps and products, for future use, or to just share with your best friend. But there's no easy way to organize all this information cohesively, and it's 2018, so writing it all down on paper is unrealistic and outdated. Well, Beauty Book solves all these problems and more. Beauty Book is like a recipe book, but for makeup looks, which allows you to store the exact looks you do, including the exact products and steps you took to achieve the look, making it easy to store any look and recreate any look. So, you're going out tonight, and you wanted to look for a fun new look to try, so you open up Beauty Book. You know you want the look to be pink, and you love cut creases, so you search for pink cut crease. Now, that look on the bottom left seems perfect, so let's choose that. Now, at first glance, this look may seem really complex, but our diagram view clearly displays every section of the look and the products that were used for each section of the look. So maybe you're looking at this photo and wondering what that dark pink color was that the creator used in their crease. Well, our diagram view allows you to click on a specific section and see the exact product that was used for that specific section. Now, it turns out you don't have that product, but you have the remaining 4 out of 5 products in your collection. But you can easily buy it by clicking on the product and following the Shop Now link. But since you're going out tonight, you can look at the products that are similar to this product and choose one that you already have in your collection. So now you're ready to recreate the look. You know what products to use, and you just need to know what steps took this from a blank slate to a beautiful makeup look. So 7 steps later, you've recreated the look, so you're ready to go out for tonight. Beauty Book is a mobile application that allows you to organize, share, and discover creativity easily and beautifully.
The beauty industry is larger than ever before, with beauty companies spending $13 billion a year on advertising and the average woman spending $15,000 on makeup in her lifetime. We have 3 main streams of revenue. First, sponsored posts. Not only will these posts be a revenue source, they will allow our users to develop recognition in their community. Second, affiliate purchasing. Stores like Ulta and Sephora offer 5 to 8% commission-based affiliate programs. This means if we have 50,000 users who each buy 10% of their makeup on Beauty Book with a 5% commission rate, we would earn $3.75 million in revenue. As our app grows, we plan to explore advertisements and premium memberships. To promote our app, we've been tapping into an inclusive and empowering online community that sees makeup as a form of creative expression for all types of makeup lovers. We've been reaching out to these community members through social media and gaining feedback on our prototype. There are thousands of talented creators on platforms like Instagram. One of my favorites, Indian Gem Beauty, who happens to be standing right next to me, gave us the opportunity to share our app with her following, giving us a unique entrance into the market. By reaching out to these involved community members, we've accumulated over 2,000 views to our landing page, 54 email signups, and many enthusiastic comments. We also recently began advertising on Instagram and Facebook, for which we've reached 200,000 people and have over 2,500 post interactions. This is where our community is right now, places like Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube. And while these platforms have allowed our community to collaborate and share, none of them were built with the needs of the beauty community in mind. Because Beauty Book is being built by makeup users for makeup users, we're excited to bring our community together in a platform that can offer so much more than existing alternatives. As women in computer science with backgrounds in business and design and a passion for makeup, we feel confident that we are the right team to build this app for our users. Thank you so much for your time today. We're planning to launch our beta within the next few days, so if you or someone you know are interested in becoming a beta tester, please find us after or sign up on beautybookapp.com, and I can't wait to see all of your favorite makeup looks on Beauty Book.
So that was excellent. As an opener, that was extraordinary, really. I've given board meeting decks that were far worse than this. So this really is beautiful, and you guys really articulated, I think, what you're doing very, very efficiently. So I appreciate that. So I have a couple openers, not truly understanding this space. So I appreciated you illustrating where the community currently lives. How do verticals theoretically perform in this space? And what are the communities? Is it just women? Is it a drag community? I mean, tell me what the communities are that this would kind of accommodate. Explain that to me.
Yeah. So there's kind of 3 main communities that we look at. So just casual users who are just searching for looks online, not necessarily posting. And then we have beauty gurus who are like the people that are on YouTube or Pinterest or Instagram who post their looks and then want feedback from others or like sharing how they do their looks. And then professional makeup artists as well, which people who do drag fall into that. So professional makeup artists who do it for a living on themselves or other people and make revenue off of that. So those are kind of the 3 overall groups of people in the community right now.
And can a vertical play erode a powerhouse like an Instagram by rolling up kind of this functionality? I actually don't know the answer to that question. But are there examples of where this has worked in the past in other verticals?
Yeah, I think one good example would be the Shop Now links on Instagram. So you see those, and Instagram's not making the sales themselves. They're directing users that maybe a user's wearing a product, and then they direct them to the Shop Now link for that website. And I'm sure Instagram makes commission on that as well. So that's kind of where we see Beauty Book's space is it's not taking away users, it's a supplement, and Instagram would direct their users to Beauty Book to make more
That's a good
sales.
answer. Cool.
Nice. So you guys did a beautiful job. You totally crushed it. I'm ready to sign up. I think it's very cool. I do know about makeup. I wear makeup.
I know. I'm not sure why I asked the first
Yeah,
question.
as I was about to say, I was like,
Very
wow,
little
okay, let's
makeup.
go, Julian.
Yeah.
A little hidden side of you, I don't know. But no, this is a business, and we can all be interested in business. So a couple questions. So it sounds like, so when I think about some of the really popular people that people follow, they do videos. As part of your app, is there video content, or is it just step-by-step content?
Yeah, so currently it's step-by-step, but we want to integrate having photos per step and then also having links to videos per step, if that makes sense. So
Nice, totally, yeah.
So we want everything to be in one space, like you're saying. So yeah, that's our vision.
And then is your idea that, just like on YouTube, that superstars will emerge? Like there'll be some people who are like, oh, I love this person's step-by-steps. Like I'm always going to follow them.
Yeah.
And you sort of have mechanisms for doing that. Like you're building that in from, okay,
Yes.
love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Awesome.
Thank you.
I'm definitely not a big user of makeup myself, but as a father of a 17-year-old daughter, I can definitely see her leveraging something like this. When I look at this, I see there's a consumption. Someone's looking for steps, but then, as Krista said, you'll have folks that are entering these step-by-step instructions. How do you build critical mass there? How do you get enough people to build step-by-steps to get the momentum, other than a few superstars?
Mm-hmm. So right now on Instagram, for example, there are a lot of people who do this already on Instagram because one, for popularity, so to be known, they want to be known for their talent. So that's one source that we could use. And then also for revenue. So some people have sponsored, like brands are sponsoring them, paying them to say their review on a product. So that could definitely fall into this case too. So people who already, the reasons that they're doing that already on Instagram or YouTube will be the same reasons for this. It is an additional step, but it would allow a whole other stream of popularity, revenue, anything for them.
Quickly take me through tying an image or a video to an actual product. How does that process work? And how do you get that kind of affiliate marketing? So I actually know that part, but I upload a picture, I illustrate something. How do you tie that to actual products? Do I submit what those products are as part of it? I do.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so you'll have a catalog of not only your looks, but also the products that you own. And so when you're seeing new looks or inputting looks, you're inputting the products if they're in your catalog, and then you're looking at new looks and you're seeing if you have the products that were used to make them.
Yeah, so this right here, the makeup collection, is where you would have all the products that you own. So you would be able to input them and then also scan the barcode to get that information. So when you go to the look, you can easily just search, oh, my palette, Urban Decay palette, you search Urban Decay and click that easily. So you would be providing that, but we would have a database of all the products from API, Sephora API, and Ulta, things like that to have.
It's a killer idea. How long have you guys been working on it?
Since August?
Yeah, of 2017. So
I've built large companies on much worse ideas than that.
It feels like the one thing I would say when I look at looks and like when I'm interested in a look is I think there's something really powerful about video. And so I feel like you guys should go for that maybe sooner than later, but you know, that would be the only thing. I think it's awesome.
This is great. Yeah. That's great.
So we're ticket buffs. Last week at NBC, we pitched our business idea to stop ticket scalping. But with the helpful insights of the NBC judges, we realized that our solution to stop ticket scalping could solve problems in many other industries as well. That's why we decided to broaden our scope. With our solution, we could eliminate ticket scalping, make crowded checkout counters more efficient, and so much more. We do this by replacing the antiquated QR code with a more intelligent dynamic QR code. Because the QR code constantly changes, it makes it impossible for an unauthorized party to access the encoded data. If applied to ticket scalping, it could be impossible for ticket scalpers to replicate tickets and sell them for profit online. You may be thinking, well, why can't someone just take a video of the QR code and use that? Since the dynamic QR code uses a time-based algorithm to display the data, a recording of it at a certain point in time will not be valid later on. Scanning and processing these dynamic QR codes remains the same as with regular QR codes. Simply scan the dynamic QR code and you're good to go. One of the industries this technology can improve is the restaurant industry. Typically, the process for paying your bill at a restaurant is to give your credit card to the waiter, wait while they charge your card, and hope they don't steal your credit card information. With dynamic QR codes, we represent the credit card information within the code and have the waiter scan that instead. If the waiter tried to steal the credit card information, they wouldn't be able to because the current state of the dynamic QR code expires quickly and the information is encrypted. Recognize this? We've all had the experience of waiting in line at a bar or event to get drinks. For each person, the bartender has to take the order, charge the card at the register, and then return with a receipt to sign. With dynamic QR codes, you order your drink, get your code scanned, and that's it. You're done. Grab your drink and go. Our go-to-market strategy is to create a landing page that describes the technology and collects emails of interested customers. The landing page will garner traction while we develop the software development kit and API. The software development kit will allow developers to create dynamic QR codes locally and verify them using our API. During this development, we'll also be reaching out to businesses we believe could be improved using dynamic QR codes. After we've developed the technology, we'll provide support to paying customers and aid them as they integrate the technology. Our revenue model breaks down like this. Our API will allow a certain number of dynamic QR codes to be verified for free. By allowing developers to experiment with dynamic QR codes for free, they can integrate with the technology and see how dynamic QR codes could benefit them. We'll offer paid plans using an overage model. Users will pay to verify a certain amount of dynamic QR codes each month, and then we'll charge a small fee for any verification that exceeds their plan's limit. The potential revenue is huge. If our solution was applied to verifying tickets at Folsom Field, it would result in approximately $78,000 a year. That's the revenue from applying dynamic QR codes to one venue among hundreds and one industry among thousands. Dynamic QR codes are a technology that could benefit many different fields. If dynamic QR codes were used in 1% of restaurant checkout processes in America, it would result in $3 million annually for our business. As 3 computer science majors, we're uniquely qualified to make this platform. Through our time at college, we have gained the knowledge and experience to be able to build this business. As seniors, we have developed relationships with our computer science professors, and we can draw on their expertise to help make this vision a reality. Up to this point, we've primarily been focusing our time on research. We originally focused on finding ways to prevent ticket scalping, and this idea was born from it. With encouragement from some of the judges at NBC last week, we decided to take the business in this new direction. Currently, we're obviously working on winning NBC in order to gain awareness and funds for our future work. The rest of this semester will be creating the dynamic QR code technology. If you'd like to learn more, check out our website at ticketbus.github.io. And if you want to help us revolutionize not just the ticketing industry, but many others as well, please get in contact with us. Thank you.
Wow.
So, can I ask the first question again? I will ask the first question every time if you let me. So you should not let me. So I was really excited about this when I read the background. I think ticket scalping is a real problem. So the feedback you got at the previous sort of pitch was that ticket scalping wasn't large enough. Is that the feedback you got? Well, I'm not sure I agree with that, but tell me why you expanded this to restaurants. Because after reading this, it seemed very focused. This seems like you've kind of duct taped something additional onto it.
Well, essentially, they thought that ticket scalping was an excellent market to apply the technology, but they thought that our value was in the technology.
I think that's true.
Itself.
I absolutely agree with that. So tell me more about that. So you guys are CS majors. You have this proprietary kind of technology. Are there other solutions like this in the marketplace? I mean, explain kind of what you've done and why you did it this way versus my Flash Seats app that just changes a static QR. How is what you're doing different from that?
Well, essentially, we add an extra layer of security and convenience, where basically, with a traditional QR code, you can just transfer it, and with ours, it's just simply not possible.
Right.
So it could be applied to ticket scalping, or it could be, I don't know, the options are kind of endless there. But.
Yeah, a scalper could potentially, with the static QR code, he could take a picture and send that to whoever bought the ticket and scan that at the entrance. Whereas with ours, because it's constantly changing, if they took a picture of it and sent it, once it arrived, it wouldn't be valid at that point because too much time has passed.
I have one more thing to add as well, because you could apply this technology to payments. If you used like a traditional QR code method, if someone got a hold of like a picture of the code, then they could charge it the same way they could charge a credit card if they got a hold of that information.
Got it.
But here, not only is the information encrypted, its representation is constantly changing. So it's just not like.
And are there other solutions like this right now, or is this pretty unique?
None that we're aware of, but
Got it.
we could be wrong about
Got
that.
it.
Well, so that's what I was like, why hasn't someone already done this? Like, it's a freaking huge idea. And I would present it as, scalping is your beachhead. Like, that's where you're going to enter the market. Clearly, there's lots of verticals. I think everyone's so worried about credit card information right now that's really timely and hot. But, I mean, you could kind of go a lot of ways with it. And so I'm curious, just truly, like, why hasn't anyone done this? It's just hard tech? You guys have cracked something really interesting? Like, it's sort of remarkable.
I would say truthfully, we don't really know the reason people haven't done that. We could be wrong. People could be doing this. We've only really been focusing just on this dynamic QR stuff for since NBC last week. So,
Yeah.
But that's.
And do you have a solution? Like, you haven't deployed it, but you have a solution for doing dynamic QR cards right now.
We have it designed. We haven't coded it, of course, yet, but
it's technically sound. And also, I can offer a theory. The smartphone revolution just happened. So before that, I mean, if you can't really, before, like even just 5 years ago, you couldn't really expect everyone to have a smartphone. So using technology like this, it was just kind of like a niche thing that was just like a novelty. And now it's mainstream, and it could be applied everywhere.
Very cool.
That's a fantastic technology. Actually, I like the idea that you've expanded the focus. When I read the background, I was struggling a little bit with just the ticket scalping.
Yeah.
Just given who's really losing there and the person you're asking to pay for the technology. But the idea of applying it in the situations you have is really intriguing. I know you've only thought about it for a week. What's the next best market for you? Like when you think about, you gave a restaurant example. Is that you think the next best one, or is that the one you just thought of in the last week? What are you thinking there?
I think that was just really like a specific payment example, but payments, I mean, go far beyond just restaurants, and also, basically any kind of payments, potentially e-commerce as well, not just like in physical, like a physical interaction, but online. So yeah.
we could also see the security space. So for my work at Viasat, I have to wear a badge to scan in and check in everywhere. If this was like a dynamic QR code, then they could validate it on the fly, and it would also, so we have temporary badges that we give out to guests sometimes, and basically those are valid always, just the way they are. But if you had like a dynamic QR code you use to check in that way, you could invalidate it the moment like you didn't want to give them access anymore.
So right now, if I go to a Nuggets game, I get a QR code that refreshes every 30 seconds to a minute. How is your solution more elegant than that?
I'll say it's like we do a better job at representing the data. We can change it faster than every 30 seconds.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think the power is in the
great
technology, so I'm not trying to ask an overly hard question, because I do think your solution's a lot better than this kind of static refresh. I'm just trying to understand why. Mm-hmm. And then to Matt's point, there is probably just an absolute broad array of applications to this that but obviously this is a big one to start with.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's really good, guys, really good.
All right.
I also think you're trying to solve a real problem, right, with technology instead of just something fluffy. So, congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Karen Gross. I am an attorney. I've worked as an advocate in the criminal justice system. I've fought against bias and hate in the nonprofit space, and I've worked on policy in local government. And I've spent the last 2.5 years traveling around. And I've made a few conclusions, and I'd like to share this with you. First of all, democracy is fragile. It's an ongoing pursuit, and it takes an active and engaged citizenry. 2, the internet today exists in a state of nature, nasty and brutish. And 3, and this is my own theory, that fundamentally as individuals, our state of nature is love and kindness. And when you can see the humanity in another through their eyes, their words, their voice, it's much more difficult to dehumanize. The state of civility in our country is weak. That's one thing Americans can agree on. YouTube, comments, Reddit, Twitter are all places where civil discourse goes to die. And as a consequence, our young people are not developing the critical writing and communication skills that they need to be successful in careers in college. So this young lady, this little 7-year-old, is Daisy. And this is Daisy at her first political rally. And as Daisy's aunt, I've had the amazing opportunity to see her step into her role as a citizen activist. And today, Daisy believes that her voice matters and that she can make a change. And I founded Citizen Discourse because I desperately want to see society be better for her and for all the Daisies. So Citizen Discourse is an educational social network for teens where they can develop a writing practice and collaborate around ideas. It is a learning tool that teachers can integrate into the classroom. The very foundation of Citizen Discourse is our kindness contract. This is our social contract. This is what takes us out of that state of nature and into a civil, intentional, and much more mindful space. These tenets have been agreed to by the Citizen Discourse ambassadors, of which there are some in the Denver Metro, Austin, Oregon, Atlanta, DC. So here's the platform. We have an alpha, it's a white label. A very important element of our platform is offering each member a journaling space. So this is an example of an essay that Maya wrote last week in response to or after the walkout. And you can see one of our competitive advantages is the inline commenting, where there's the bubbles along the side and the comments below. And you can also read this if you go to citizendiscourse.org and check out our blog. So we organize in topical and organizational hives. So a topical hive is a cool and interesting space where young people can access content on topics of interest to them. So as you can see, we have technology, environment, social entrepreneurship, and content is fueled by our collective of subject matter experts. So these might be slam poets from Denver, activists, artists from the community. They might be academics from CU Boulder. We have lawyers, a variety of people who have something unique and a voice to share and are putting it in these hives. And I also wanted to mention the organizational hives are how classes, nonprofits, student groups stay connected and collaborating around content. So research finds that daily writing practice improves mental health by reducing by reducing anxiety and depression. And when you learn about someone's perspective through their own narrative, it reduces bias and builds empathy. So if we can help our next generation develop the critical thinking and communication skills that is required to be a responsible citizen, that is what will be good for our democracy. So like I said, we have an alpha. It's a white label platform. We're using that as our space to learn and collect good information from our use cases. We have 200 young people on the platform to date. Our first group of students joined on Martin Luther King Day. I have high school classes piloting this in very innovative ways. We've got a number of nonprofit partners in the pipeline and some very interesting academic collaborations that I'd be happy to talk with you more about during Q&A. So this is a $203 billion industry. If we are successful at just cornering the market on 5% market penetration within 5 years, we'll be garnering $24.4 billion in revenue. I just returned from South by Southwest EDU, where I spoke with a number of educators, and there is a strong desire for something like this at the middle school level. So that's would add in another 30 million young people into this, and of course we would love to see this matriculate into the college level as well. So this is a bit of our roadmap. We are raising funds to custom build a platform. The revenue strategy for us is to start with platform sponsors, so really akin to an NPR or a PBS. As we grow, we will have tiered subscriptions that a civil discourse curriculum will accompany. We're also looking at revenue from an online retail kind of merch component in real life events. So let me walk you through this really quickly. So we have Reddit, Quora, Facebook, Blackboard, Google Classroom, and Canvas. Kindness contracts, civil discourse, privacy, verified content, the ability to chat, inline commenting, journaling, and rewards or badges. So you can see where we stand in comparison to some of our competitors. Like I mentioned before, one of our unique competitive advantages in terms of being a classroom.
Give her
Let me just wrap it up, please, and give Maya an opportunity to close it out. This is the team, and it's my honor and privilege to introduce Maya to close this out.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Maya Sandoval. I'm a junior from Range High School, and I can tell you guys right now that I passionately believe in this platform, in its people, and in its purpose. Citizens Discourse allows students like me to discover the power within our voices. We do this by creating, connecting, and writing. I come to you guys on behalf of Citizen Discourse ambassadors asking for your help because we need the resources to be advocates for humanity. We need the resources to work together. Citizens Discourse has contributed so much to my life, and I'm so grateful to be here right now and ask you guys to invest in us so that we can broaden our perspectives. Please help us. Please help us to further our perspectives and be the change that we are so ready to see in the world today. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is so needed and so timely, and you did a beautiful job presenting the idea. I had a couple of questions, which is that it sounds like you're intending this primarily to be used in schools. K through 12, is that a correct assumption?
So it's our target market to start our teens.
Or high school.
Yes, exactly, high school. So our market would be educators, nonprofit leaders. I just got off the phone earlier with a woman who runs an online high school.
Got it. And so is the, in terms of monitoring and moderating the content, is that done by the community?
So there's 3 elements to that. One is the intentional culture. So we're kind of like raising the standard. 2 is technologically, there's an ability to report when someone's being a bully. But really, the moderators or administrators are in part the educators and nonprofit leaders that are kind of involved in the community. The organizational hives, a class hive is administered by the educator.
So is the hive closed?
A class hive is closed.
Class hive is closed.
A topical hive is open to the
Nice,
community.
very, very nice. And is the idea that the closed class hive as opposed to open would be a premium feature, or is that a core feature?
So it is a core feature, but over time it would become, a premium once we get to that point.
Nice, nice. This is so timely. I started with that, but I'm just going to end with that because I know these two have lots of interesting things to say, but lovely, needed.
Thank you.
As the finance guy, I'm just curious more about the economic model. So are you going to be going for the educational institutions for the funding? Is that the subscriber?
So
Who
a
pays
subscriber would be either a nonprofit like the Anti-Defamation League, the Close-Up Foundation, Communities in Schools, National Urban Debate League. So those kind of organizations that are working with young people and seeking ways to keep them collaborating and connected in between in real life opportunities, but also schools. So I just learned there's Title I and Title IV social and emotional learning funding that is being pushed down. Yes, and there's some discretionary budgets that some principals have that they can, and we're looking at a price point somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 a year for a subscription that would give you unlimited hives and unlimited administration.
That's a great price point, really.
So like these two, I love what you're trying to do here. This is a tough problem to solve, and it needs kind of smart solutions targeting it. So thank you for doing that. I have a number of questions around your approach, And one, I want to understand, what is the technology? What are you building? Are you building a site that people need to come to? Because I would be open-minded about your distribution approach here. I don't know that you need to draw people to you if you can push this out to people in a more distributed way. So first start by asking, that's a whole lot of nothing, but start by telling me what the current technology solution is and how the platform's gonna live.
So this is a white label platform. So
Okay.
we were able to get something to be able to illustrate the vision,
Yeah.
bring on members and users so we
Yeah.
can learn from them.
Okay.
And we want to custom build a platform that really reflects back what our members need. So debate teams, what is the ideal elements of this platform that we can integrate, like the inline commenting. You know, if you're prepared, So it's by invitation.
Yeah.
So it's a closed community, but the way we bring groups on would be through the partnerships with the organizations and the schools and the classrooms.
I see.
Can I just, two things really quick, I just want to jump into what you just said,
Please.
because it's such a big idea, and I say this all the time, people always want to create a place that people come.
I agree with this,
But you have
absolutely.
a platform that
Yeah.
you actually could potentially embed in other people's platforms. If you
That's
did it
where
that
it's
way,
going,
you
absolutely.
immediately get distribution, and distribution, especially with K through 12, is so incredibly hard. The other thing, which is an offline thing, is this is ripe for NSF SBIR funding, and so if you don't know what that is, I'm happy to talk to you about that offline.
Thank you. Absolutely. So Canvas and Blackboard, they have add-ons. So we've been thinking about, collaborating.
I like that.
Love that. That's a big
We're not
idea.
we're not trying to make this more difficult than it needs to be, but
Yes. That's a-
really it has a very community-based growth. That's what makes us a little bit different than maybe Google Classroom, is that we are building community and we're starting in communities.
And you should be available through Google Classroom.
So I like that. Adhere yourself to somebody else's unbelievable distribution. Because once you build this, acquiring users and getting adequate distribution, that's where the actual cost is going to come in, and it's prohibitive. But that combined with some of Krista's smart sort of educational distribution strategy should get you some level of traction.
But this is a
So
big
needed.
idea, absolutely, and there's big problems in our society, and so we are, well positioned to disrupt that, and it's needed. So.
Needed. Awesome.
Great. Nice job.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Alejandro. I'm with Music Fest NAP. I'm a full-time piano teacher in the College of Music here. I'm also a software developer in my spare time. Music Fest NAP is an online system that helps music organizations and associations plan, manage, and run music competitions. And this is a topic I feel very passionate about. I have coordinated this type of competitions in the last 5 years here in Colorado. I want you to meet Katie. Katie is a full-time piano teacher in Newark, Delaware. Last year, Katie volunteered to coordinate and run the Delaware Music Teacher Association competition. So this is a competition where about 200 competitors, like the girl you see here at the piano, they pay to play in front of judges who write comments and award prizes. So sounds simple enough, right? Well, she had no idea what she was getting into. First, she wanted to find out what her available tools were, and so she found a tool online called Competition Suite, but realized very quickly that it was very complex and it required a lot of customization because it was not created for the type of competition she was trying to run. So like most of her colleagues in the country, Katie decided to use Google Forms, spreadsheets, and email. Okay. Like many of us, who have run these competitions, she quickly discovered that she had to spend a huge amount of time, 50 hours of work, and that any error turned into frustrated parents who were looking for immediate reparation. This was also my experience, and it's the experience of thousands of music festivals and competition coordinators nationwide. So much so that some associations have even disbanded or canceled their events due to the difficulty of finding volunteers to run them. So 3 years ago, I decided I had enough. In my free time, I set out to create an online system that would streamline the process from registrations to scheduling to managing facilities and judges to printing certificates and so forth. That's when Music Fest NAP was born. So Katie in Delaware also wanted to give it a try this year. She loved it. She was able to decrease the time that it took her to coordinate the competition by 90%, so from 50 hours to 5 hours. She reduced errors, improved communications, and improved the competitor experience in general. Colleagues in several other states also decided to try our beta version. So right now we're serving 1,500 competitors in 4 states. They all love it, basically. With very little effort and just word of mouth marketing, we were able to turn Music Fest NAP into a feasible product. So this is what the competitors see when they register. It's a very simple registration form. They also have access to a competitor portal where they can see their history, what comments they got from judges in the past and so forth. This is what Katie sees. This is the back end. And it shows you how easy it is to actually schedule people. You can filter students, you can drag them into buckets, and that creates actually the schedule. And she can also email the students and manage personnel and manage the judge comments as well and distribute those comments. So we charge associations up to 10% of their competition income. So in the case of Delaware, their income for the 3 competitions was $20,000 this year, so we get $2,000. Multiply that by thousands of competitions in the US from these small nonprofit associations. And we estimate, and this is a conservative estimate, that we have more than 1 million competition entries with a potential revenue of $5 million. If you take that to the world, in Europe, Australia, Asia, that's a potential revenue of about $100 million. Now, keep in mind that there are other disciplines that also have judged events, like karate, gymnastics, debate, oratory. So the potential goes through the roof, really. So our plan is for the first year to start small. We want to tackle 10% of the US market and then grow to 30%. And then the third year, we want to expand abroad and start exploring the other markets and the other disciplines. So our advantage is that we have a tested beta product. We understand our customers because we are competition managers and music teachers. And we have extensive experience running these competitions. My partner could not be here today. Shanna is a music industry consultant. She works with Yamaha and Time Warp Software. These are 2 technology firms that do music. Thank you very much.
So one, this was an excellent presentation. You clearly, based on what you do, you're solving a real problem, and I absolutely love that. When I hear this and I look at the market size, the immediate thing I think is bootstrap the heck out of this, don't ask for money, create a perfect mousetrap, and then push it out for distribution if need be. But so what are you asking for? What do you need to actually build the product you want to? Can you do this with one other person and kind of, get market traction, build revenue, actually kind of attack it from the ground up rather than borrowing money or asking for money and trying to come top down?
I think we can do that.
Yeah.
And in fact, I have started doing some of that in my spare time. Basically, what I love to have is basically hire another tech developer to create even a more solid product. We know the marketing because we know the market really well from inside, and there's a lot of these associations that work like trees. You have locals, and then you have state, and you have national. So if you there's a lot of word of mouth, but it also would be great to have kind of a more solid marketing plan, especially when you go abroad.
Yep, and I love that. I love your China strategy and trying to take this to a larger market than the US. But everything about this feels like if you can do it on the cheap, perfect the product. I mean, all the questions I have for you is the market big enough, blah, blah, blah. But none of those are relevant if you're bootstrapping this, you're attacking a small market, and you're hiring people with the incremental revenue. Which is absolutely how I feel about something like this. So rather than dismiss what I think may be a small market, really what I want you to do is build a kick-ass product, sell it to 20 people, 200 people, and then take it to China. But anyway, that's my humble opinion.
And at that time, take money. So I think what's possible. I love things like this. Love them. I love things that are very niche. It couldn't be more niche, and born of a deep need, like you know it firsthand, and it's why you already have traction. I think you completely super serve the music in the US, and then when you go to the other verticals, you know, you mentioned dance, and there's tons of other kinds of recitals, and even more interesting international, that's when you take money, right? Like, so you prove it out, and you can probably get, I mean, it's like the lever arm of technology is so powerful. You can get to a really nice, healthy business, probably with 2 or 3 people, and then you could get to a much larger business. I believe your numbers, moving into international markets, and at that time, I think you take money to scale. But it'd be great for you to bypass the typical money to get to the money to scale, per what Jillian said.
By the way, also super easy to say to somebody who also has a day job, right?
Right.
You know what you should do? You should just hire 3 great engineers who can manage on the side, you know, on your own dime.
Yeah.
So I get the hurdles in front of you. But it really does feel exciting because it attacks a real problem that you understand. And if you can somehow get there, I think that's what Krista and I are both trying to help you with. Anyway, Matt.
To me, this reminds me a lot of TeamSnap, if you guys are familiar with TeamSnap.
Yeah, right.
Which is,
the title is...
It's built around a community that not everybody's involved in, but that community has the same set of problems over and over and over again. And you being part of that community has deep insight into it. And you know, for me, I know nothing about the music competition. I don't know what, like, are they all nonprofits? So how are they going to fund like that 20% or 10%? How do they fund that? Where does that money come from? Who are they not paying as a result?
Our experience so far is, you know, they charge the students to enter these competitions. From the few local associations that we have worked with, they actually have increased their fees to be able to use this product because it solves the huge issue of time commitment. These are all volunteers running this.
They're saints. They're saints, like handling like 600 kids or whatever you said.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I really like this idea.
Yeah, I actually really do too. And it doesn't mean it's easy, but no business is easy, and there's no magic in taking money. That doesn't make it easier. It opens up a different set of hard, right? So it's all hard. This crap is all hard. It's just when do you take the hard, and what flavor is your hard, right? But certainly the potential is here to be initially a really big thing with very little.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I don't want you to be in front of a jury who's going to tell you that 50 million is not large enough, right? Really. And a lot of people will do that. You can't take this to Sequoia yet, but I do think that you can build a killer product that meets a real need, and then you layer distribution on top of that. And
then you go to Sequoia.
I think you're going to get real money before you need to ask for it. And that's why I think it's so exciting.
Exactly.
It's because you'll be able to fund incremental hires to actually build a better mousetrap. So thanks. This was great to really see and hear.
Don't forget, I mean, his comment is a really good one. Owning 50% or 100% of a company, just do the math. What you would have to build if you only own 20 or 15 or whatever you get with the carry once you raise money. I mean, building something that's small, that you own everything, you can make a lot of money that way.
Mm-hmm. I love this. I love it.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Danielle, CEO and founder of Wild Guide, a platform to find and review your favorite individual outdoor adventure guides. On a 3-month cross-country camping trip, I started to notice a pattern. Signs. Near every national park, state park, or even mountain town, I saw signs advertising guided trips and treks. From billboards promoting Rivers Bend Outfitters to handwritten signs encouraging me to call John for good fishing. I started to wonder, how would I find John if I hadn't passed by that sign? And if I did call Rivers Bend, how would I make sure I found a guide as good as John? Well, I couldn't. But here's the thing. 95% of travelers are already reading reviews online before booking, and most spend at least 30 minutes doing so. Because, well, trips are expensive, and travelers want to make sure it's money well spent. Unfortunately, it's not that easy. Here's an example. Krista's booking a rafting trip, and she sees Raft Masters has pretty good ratings on TripAdvisor. She starts reading reviews. Here are 2. One is a 1-star review. The other is a 5-star review. Same company, same trip. The only difference? The guide. Right now, Krista can only read reviews for a company or outfitter on existing review sites. But as we just saw, it's really the individual guide who makes or breaks the experience. And the best guides are already getting recognized in reviews. Here's one of my favorites, an entire review dedicated to Jake for an incredible trip. But usually it takes some more digging. Shoutouts to guides get buried in company pages on sites like Yelp or TripAdvisor, making them hard for travelers to find and meaning guides don't get the recognition they deserve. Wild Guide solves that by providing a simple platform to find and review individual guides. Guides like John can now create a profile and start getting reviews for the trips that they guide. It's like a personal brand that will stay with them if they change outfitters or decide to guide independently. Travelers can search by activity or location, look at guides' profiles, and read more meaningful reviews to make planning their next adventure even easier. Wild Guide makes it easy to explore the outdoors. Right now, we're focused on growing a user base, but in the future, we see 3 potential revenue streams. Ad revenue from promoting guides and outfitters to the top of search results, subscription revenue from access to enhanced features so guides can communicate with travelers and outfitters can receive booking requests, and hiring and recruiting solutions for guides in a market that sees high turnover and limited supply. These 3 models are already being implemented by successful companies like Yelp, TripAdvisor, HomeAdvisor, and LinkedIn, and we're essentially a combination of all 3. Advertisers on Yelp report an average annual revenue of $23,000 just generated from their Yelp ads alone. That presents a big opportunity in a market of 118 million US outdoor consumers who spend $332 billion on trips and travel annually. We're acquiring guides who have already completed certification programs like the AMGA and are currently recruiting from bigger local outfits like Colorado Mountain School, where I've been working on an MBA project all semester. In addition to recruiting customers where they're already looking, using search engine marketing and partnering with hotels, guides will be our best salesmen. We'll give them the tools they need to get their clients on Wild Guide too. Together, travelers, outfitters, and guides make up the Wild Guide community. And I know there are a lot of players in this space, but all of them are either focused on booking, meaning they charge usage fees, or they're focused on the company and not the individual. And none of them are specific to the outdoors. Of them all, Wild Guide is the first review-based platform for outdoor travel at the individual level. Just last week, we launched our platform, meaning guides can now start creating profiles. And the next month, we'll be requiring users, and that means we'll start generating revenue by the end of the summer season. Right now, I'm driving the Wild Guide ship, but I'm supported by a strong team of mentors and advisors. I'm finishing my MBA this semester at CU, have a background in marketing and strategy, and although I'm a non-technical founder, have managed to bootstrap to this point and create an MVP myself using WordPress and plugins just in time for our users to explore summer in the Rockies. Thanks for listening. Now get the heck outside.
That's a great concept. I really like that. And I've struggled with that, trying to find somebody for my 12-year-old who loves to fish, and end up getting somebody who takes you to the little pond right next to where the store is. One thing that struck me though, when you talked about the communities, you talked about it, the outfitters and the guides being part of the community. Tell me a little bit more about that. I see this actually as a way you could disaggregate or disintermediate the outfitters. Why do you need an outfitter to take money from the guide and don't advertise?
Absolutely.
You got a guy in a backpack or a woman, with a fishing pole. It's like you could. I mean, it's kind of Uber for, overused analogy, Uber for guides.
So if you'd seen me pitch last year in NVC, that's what you would have seen. So it was a booking platform. And we were trying to replace the outfitter. They charge so much and the guide takes home so little. And so we thought, we can be the outfitter, no problem, exactly like the Uber for guides. But as I found in research and talking to a lot of people, both on the legal side and insurance, we were a member of the ELC, the law clinic here. We also spoke to a lot of guides and outfitters. There's 2 big problems. One is insurance. So insurance is really expensive and it's hard for individuals to get it themselves. So we were planning to solve that for the guides. That was probably like the least of our worries. We could upfront the insurance cost for an individual. But the biggest thing that we can't overcome are permitting. So permitting, especially starting in a state like Colorado, is really strict. And not just that all BLM land has a specific permit and all state forest land has a specific permit. Every single state forest has a different permitting process and requirements. Every single piece of BLM land is different.
Can you shift that burden to the guide?
So no, like the process of applying for permits is really expensive and time consuming, and there's a limited number, so that's the problem.
Yeah.
So there's maybe only like 20 permits available for a
Right.
specific location, and that's why only a certain number of outfitters
Yep.
are able to access that location.
Yep.
So we were going to try to solve that too, and then we realized we were just becoming the outfitter ourselves, and that was exactly the problem that we were trying to avoid. And then a second piece of feedback that was really important for us is I talked to a lot of guides, and I found out, so from the professional guide standpoint, so for high risk activities like climbing, backcountry, skiing, mountaineering, people want to go with a professional guide. Professional guides like the outfitters. Like, not only do they think, oh, they solve all my administrative problems and marketing problems, they're my friends. It's a really tight-knit community, and they're really connected, and they want to support each other. So that's how, using user feedback, we transitioned to this model of the review-based platform. Although in the future, depending on resources, could see adding some booking features for less high-risk activities, right now we're focusing on reviews.
And I'm sure you said this, but remind me, so I'm a guide, I post my review. Can people who then went on the rafting trip with me say, wow,
Exactly.
Sarah was great?
Yeah,
okay, so
that's
you can
exactly
add
how it works.
And so here's my other question to you. So I think it's a huge idea, because it's absolutely true. Like, you have a same rafting outfitter, and there's one guide that's magic, and you want the magic one. But so what is the strategy? It is difficult, right? Because there are so many review sites. I am going to review sites. I'm planning my trip. How do I find you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so right now we're going to be using search engine marketing, and then also partnering with some smaller, like local solutions like Airbnb hosts, and having them recommend Wild Guide to their travelers who are staying in their Airbnbs in mountain towns or even in Boulder. Those are people who are often looking for trips. And then eventually that'll, the more traffic will help us build up our ranking.
Absolutely, and I'm just thinking out loud, because I think it's a big idea, and I'd like to see it succeed. And I think, you said that there's some sites now where you can dig in and you can find that it's Jake. I wonder that you actually seed it a little bit by finding the Jakes, right? And reaching out to Jake and saying, hey, Jake, why don't you post here? Because I wouldn't take that much seeding, right? Because I think people love talking about themselves.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you get some, right, I do think you would get a snowball effect.
I want you to take my credit card and get me a guide. I'm going to say a bunch of other stuff, but that's what I ultimately want. So if I could parse through guides and find out better ones over, less compelling ones, I'd absolutely, there's great utility to do that. I like to fly fish. So right now I spend a ton of money, I get a guide, that guide's either great or he's not, but I have to go through the outfitter in order to find out, and then I have one data point for future use. It's terrible. So if I had those, I'd ask for Charlie immediately, right? Or, we spent a week in Athens. I needed a guide. I know that much about Greek history. So I needed somebody to guide me through the city, and I didn't have a great avenue for finding that. But I absolutely want you to take my credit card and match me with a person. All this other stuff I think you can get through. Maybe you've spent it, but I feel like you can navigate that. And if you can get me a fishing guide or a snowmobiling guide or a guide to Athens in a more efficient way where that guide participates in way more upside, I don't believe that they won't disintermediate from that outfitter. And I'm not trying to blow up outfitters. I love those guys too, and there is great camaraderie there. But I do think economics will drive adoption on both sides of this. And if you can get me the guide I want, that's exciting. It's so fragmented, and there's no solution for this. I'm ready to sign up for your alpha. I want that. But I do see utility in the former. I get it. Maybe the hurdles are too big. But I still want to give you my credit card and have it even more efficient.
But I would argue you could make that a beachhead. And then even the first step could be that, in fact, you are giving the credit card, but the credit's just going to the outfitter. Right, but you're sort of taking care of that messiness behind, and then it evolves to the outfitter goes away. Or at least for some people. Maybe not for everyone, but for some people. But I think it can be a phased approach.
I agree.
Yeah, cool. This feels good.
Thank
you. All right. The first wood-burning furnace was patented over 450 years ago. And today's modern furnaces work on essentially the same principle. Burn some stuff and send hot air through the vents. But with the same old technology comes the same old problems. Different rooms are different temperatures. This can mean inconvenience, like if your bedroom's too cold, or even a danger in sensitive rooms like nurseries. Hearth is a solution to uneven heating. Just install our smart vents and forget about them. Hearth monitors the temperature in each room and adjusts based on the room's needs, closing if it's already the right temperature, or opening to allow heat into the room, eliminating wasteful heating where it isn't needed. Furnaces are limited by only measuring the temperature in one room, where the thermostat is, and only controlling the airflow at one point. Smart thermostats like Nest can add intelligence to the system, but they still have the same physical limitations. Hearth uses infrared sensors to measure the temperature in each room and communicate directly with other hearth vents in the home to intelligently control your airflow. In this way, it can work in cooperation with your other smart home devices to create the perfect smart home setup. You can access all of this through the Hearth app or by connecting it to existing popular services such as Amazon Alexa, Google Home, and Apple HomeKit. You can even set different rooms to be different temperatures. Imagine coming home and your home already knows what rooms you're going to use, prioritizing heating to those places first. After a shower, your bedroom is automatically warmer. Each member of the house has their room at their temperature. No more fighting over the thermostat. Hearth lets your home know what you like and how to ensure that you're always comfortable. The market for smart home devices is exploding. In 2017, in the United States alone, the smart home market was over $15 billion. But Hearth is the next level. Hearth isn't another screen that's going to demand your attention. Hearth connects with your other smart devices and does its work in the background. Hearth doesn't put a bunch of smarts in your home. It makes your home smarter. It accomplishes the fundamentals of smart heating without the expensive, unnecessary complexity of other zone heating solutions. You don't need a contractor, and you don't need a construction crew. Just pull out your old vent covers and plop in Hearth. There's no central hub, and all the tech is built directly into the vents. The vents are smart on their own. With the temperature data Hearth gets, it can do an incredible amount of intelligent work. Not only can it learn the best way to heat its room, but it can learn how it works in concert with other vents in your house. It can adjust based on your habits or what you like, about how many people are in the room or who's in the room. It can even reduce your carbon footprint by telling you how effective your heating is in each room and by prioritizing heating and cooling at peak energy times. Heating isn't just turning on and off your furnace. It's about intelligently using that heat throughout your home. Homeowners can choose how they want to use Hearth, either just installing it in their problem rooms or outfitting their entire home with Hearth for ultimate control. In most cases, one vent per room is enough to get the job done. Homeowners can start with a few rooms for about the price of a Nest thermostat, and Hearth will even save money by stopping rooms from wasting energy and ensure the furnace is only heating the places that need it. Hearth will be available directly to consumers online through our website, as well as on online marketplaces such as Amazon and eBay, and we'll be working towards getting Hearth in brick and mortar stores like the Home Depot. We'll be selling Hearth in the most 4 standard vent sizes so that homes of all kinds can enjoy Hearth. We've been talking with architects, engineers, and contractors to discover the difficulties in creating a well-heated home. And we've been talking with homeowners to discover what they want in a solution to uneven heating. Through Google AdWords and by connecting with people on social media, we've generated 43 email signups so far and are currently converting 20% of our online traffic into email signups. We've also had 3 homeowners sign up to install Hearth in their home as a beta, which we'll be getting out to them in 4 to 6 weeks. Don't let our small team size fool you. We have the knowledge and experience to make Hearth a success, and we're itching to get our product out there. I've worked for over 3 years as a full-stack developer and over 5 in engineering in general. And Connor's organized HackCU for 3 years and has the hardware and web expertise needed to make Hearth smart. Hearth makes your home smarter. Life becomes more comfortable with one simple solution that you never have to think about. Our market is growing at an astonishing rate, and homeowners are on the lookout for a smarter heating solution. If you'd like to help us change the future of heating, please get in contact with us. Thank you.
This was an excellent presentation, really. It was beautiful, it was direct. Now, that said, I'm going to ask you something that you just explained. So I don't actually know what Nest does, though I've pretended to many, many times. So if you could explain what Nest does and what your kind of implementation does in very specifically, that would be helpful to me. Like, what does your piece do? What does Nest do? And then I'm going to ask you a couple of questions based on that.
Yeah, for sure. So what Nest does is essentially the same thing as your thermostat does, but without a person controlling it.
Okay, got it.
You can set temperature from afar. You can set temperature to be different times.
Yeah.
If you come home at a certain time, you can heat your home a little bit while you're not at home, and then heat it a lot when you get home. So it just adds intelligence to your thermostat.
Okay,
What
but
we-
you can't do it specific segments or rooms or blending, okay.
You can if you put a Nest in each room.
I see, got it.
So that's where our solution comes in. We're adding the intelligence and the control.
Yep.
So we measure the temperature in each room so you know throughout your home what the temperature is, not just in your kitchen or your living room.
Yeah.
And you can control where the heat's going to, so you can control the heat on a room-by-room basis and not on an entire home basis.
And what is the sort of infrastructure investment per home for your solution? What does it look like? What are the pieces?
So it's just the vents.
It's just the vents, okay.
Take out your old
Got
vent
it.
register and you can put it in.
And you use your app to control it?
Got it.
Yeah, you can use your app, or you can connect it to your Nest or your Alexa, and if you
Yeah.
already have some home heating
Yeah.
set up there, it does the work.
It's really cool.
That's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
What's your, what kind of patents or what's your intellectual property? I mean, what keeps Nest or someone else from just copying what you do and leveraging their brand and distribution?
So we will be working, toward patents. We've looked into the patents that exist already. It's unclear if any of them have actually been awarded, and they're distributed across a whole bunch of different parties. So we're going to be working on getting a all-in-one smart vent patent for ourselves.
As well, our main technology is the infrared sensors that measure the temperature in the room without having additional hardware needed, and we believe that we can get patented.
And what are your backgrounds? What are your backgrounds?
So we're both seniors in computer science.
Yeah.
I've worked in document generation and full stack development through that.
Yep.
And I used to be an electrical engineering major, made the switch to computer science, and do a lot of web and some hardware still.
So I'm an electrical engineer. I'll forgive you for switching.
Thank you.
So I need this. I go from room to room. I think in an earlier pitch I told you this, but it's still true. When I get home, I close the vents. I physically close the vents in my bedroom, don't some of you. So my bedroom's cold. And I'm like, this is just a need. It's so smart. Your presentation, you crushed it. I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
Cool.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, I have Nest systems in my house, and same thing. It's what you're doing is the Nest is just telling the furnace how much air to blow, right? And you're saying I'm gonna give you a lower level of granularity to that. So in my boys' room, which is way down at the end of the hall, that's frigid, you're gonna keep that open all the time, and
exactly.
You're gonna close it in my room. So
right,
that's a fantastic idea.
And with the having the temperature data for each room, we can send that back to Nest. And instead of it just thinking 72 degrees, keep blasting heat, keep it more efficient with the average temperature through the home.
And why isn't Nest building this other node?
Right. What?
Or are they? I mean, these are the softballs VCs ask. They're impossible to answer, but we're on this side of the table. Yeah. So it is. Why aren't they doing that?
We're not sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
The functionality perhaps overlaps a little bit with the thermostat.
I see.
They might not be able to sell it as well if they're already selling an intelligent temperature system.
I think they're pushing that you buy more Nests and have more Nests. I mean, we have 3. It's still not enough.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Yep.
And I don't know if anyone's thought of doing it on the vent. And then doing it on the vent in a way that's not a big fat nest, but the small thing you can. Where are you building these?
You mean like?
The physically manufacturing them. Like right now, it's probably in the shop. But what's the plan for that?
Or are you building these? Are you building these yet?
They've deployed to some number of homes.
Right.
23.
So we have 3 beta homes, we're calling them, where we're going to install the prototype.
But you haven't yet.
We haven't installed them yet.
Okay.
We're 4 weeks away from finalizing the 10 to 12 vents we'll need to finish. So we are well on our way to finishing the first prototype. It's just it's creating more.
Yeah, we're 3D printing them, and we're for the.
And how much does this cost eventually? Have you thought about this? I mean, I love the idea. It's big. You're solving a real problem. It's really cool. I love everything about this. How much does it eventually cost? This isn't a cheap thing to go after, is it?
So this is what it's costing us to build a prototype.
Right.
We're expecting with a more premium enclosure material, the testing, the manufacturing, the labor, we're expecting to sell these between $90, $100, somewhere in those ranges.
Yeah. Yeah. This is really cool.
It's good.
Great.
Thanks, guys.
Take a look around this room. 1 in 8 women here will develop breast cancer in her lifetime. Each year, 300,000 American women are diagnosed, and 40,000 women will die. But there is hope. Early detection is key and can increase a woman's chance of survival by 98%. The problem is, women aren't doing monthly breast self-exams, one of the most effective ways to detect abnormalities early. Why? They forget. They don't think cancer will happen to them, or they just don't know how. I'm Lauren Dempsey, co-founder and CEO for Norma, and we are solving this problem. Norma is a mobile app that empowers women to take charge of their breast health and learn their normal. Inside, a woman can record her monthly exams, track changes, access resources, connect with the community, and even share data with her doctor. But we aren't just another app. We know app notifications don't necessarily spur action. So that's why we're introducing the breast button. It's like an Amazon Dash button for your boobs. This app-enabled IoT device sticks to your bathroom mirror or shower wall and glows when it's time for a woman to perform her exam, serving as a physical reminder she can't dismiss and acting as an external trigger to form a lifelong habit. Our initial target market is women who have or had breast cancer. They have an emotional connection to this disease, and our research has shown that they are eager to give Norma to women in their lives. Once we have a strong and active user base, we will seek to form partnerships in the healthcare industry so that we can get Norma in the hands and homes of as many women as possible. Of the 423 women we surveyed, 78% do not perform monthly exams, but 90% said they would if they had a reminder and knew how. We already know women are comfortable tracking their health with apps, but we weren't sure about the button. So we spoke with breast cancer groups, and they all want Norma in their home. In fact, the results were so positive that we are launching the Norma Network of Breast Friends on April 1st. This grassroots campaign will be spearheaded by these brand advocates, and they will encourage women in their lives to be more educated on breast health and encourage them to feel it on the first. Beginning on April 9th, we have 10 women signed up to do in-home button app testing here in the Denver area. The rise of the femtech industry is real and is expected to be a $50 billion a year industry by 2025. But look at this graph. Femtech is broken into 8 categories, and not a single category is focused on women's breast health. Susan G. Komen, the world's biggest breast cancer organization, doesn't even have an app. The timing is right for Norma to fill this gap. It's only been 5 weeks since we conceptualized Norma, but we have been sprinting ever since. We already have a working button prototype and have an app MVP in the App Store. Over the coming months, we will continue to iterate based off user testing and usability results. Our goal is to manufacture and launch Norma during the 2018 holiday season. In 2019, we will seek to form partnerships with insurance companies, corporate wellness programs, and emerging healthcare players like Apple and Amazon, all of whom are working hard to cut down on their healthcare costs. So how will we make money? Phase 1 is focused on premium app features and charging for the button. Our 2018 target is focused specifically on 0.5% of America's breast cancer survivors, with the goal of selling 15,000 buttons and generating $600,000 in sales. Phase 2 takes a page out of Fitbit's book, where we will develop an employer dashboard and sell annual subscription fees to access. The costs of breast cancer are enormous. Each year, 22,000 women are diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. With early detection, we can save billions of dollars in treatment costs and productivity loss. Before I close, I want to introduce you to the most exciting feature of Norma, our team. We came together at Techstars Startup Weekend in February and have been sprinting ever since. Just 2 weeks ago, we were in Paris, where we took home 3rd place out of 22 teams at a global Startup Weekend competition. And last week, we won the Women's Entrepreneurship Prize at NVC. So who are we? From an 18-year-old whiz kid app developer to computer programmers, breast tech experts, an Apple product design engineer, an expert UI/UX designer, and even a former naval officer, we are an all-woman team designing the world that we want to live in. 4 of us have personal family history with breast cancer, and we all know we are solving a problem that is much greater than ourselves. Together, we are building Norma to become the bathroom's next toothbrush that will save countless lives around the globe. Thanks for your time. I look forward to your questions.
I'll jump in. I have so many questions for you. So my first question for you, because I'm not sure I got it. So is this the button that's in my shower, and I'm one of the women who does not do self-exams and needs to do self-exams because the data is there. It's good. Why don't we do it? It's ridiculous, right? And so it's just, why don't I put my seatbelt on because the thing bounces at me? It makes sense. Like, I'm with you. I'm right there with you. My question is it just a light that goes off every 28 days? Does it do more than that?
So mostly it's a light, but the way that we actually use this to help build a habit is that you can't turn it off until you go into the app and journal that you've done the self-exam. And so it's really just an external trigger. We've done some research in habit formation, and we know that it's a well understood principle that basically you need some sort of cue, and for us, we heard that just a notification wasn't going to be enough. We heard one woman say that if she got a notification 5 minutes before she went into her bathroom, she wouldn't do it, and so essentially it's being the trigger where you do it, and it doesn't go away until you do it.
Nice. So my next question to you then is, and then my worry is that, right, so rather than partner with you, I'm the Susan B. Conum, I'm just going to go create a button in my own app, right? Like, so what's your barrier to entry? And one of the things, not that I'm going to answer that, I'm interested in, but I'll throw out to you that even adding a little more smart to that can provide, start to provide you like, well, but your button also does. And I don't know if it like shows, hey, here's the 4-step, or it plays a little song while I do the step, or I don't know what it would do, but.
I think, so we also considered, like, could we have a graphic where if you found a lump, you could specifically touch it in a certain area and have that tracked directly. I think that's, as we consider our product roadmap, we might do that, and definitely having a way for the app to talk to you. We were looking at using Alexa to help walk through breast self-exams. Those will be things that we can add, but definitely hearing that is really good feedback.
And I don't think that has to be day one. Right? I think day one is fine. This is really timely. We have really heightened awareness of this as an issue. I think, as you've seen just even from your customer discovery, it's why you guys are going so quickly. There's an appetite for this, right? There's an appetite that the number of people, we all know people who are dying or have died or are fighting or whatever. It's like, we're done. Like, it's just too much. Like, come on, we got to do something. And so I think your timing is really good. And I like that it's simple. Right? In some ways, I like that, and I would like it more barrier to entry, but I like in general that the idea is quite simple. Like, don't complicate it, right? It's quite and there's something really appealing about that. Anyways, I know they want to talk to you.
Did you say 5 weeks you've been working on
Yes.
this? That's
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, this is just, that's an amazing amount of progress and very impressive for being 5 weeks. The economic model, have you thought about insurance companies? Have you thought about Medicare, getting like Medicaid?
Yes.
I mean, to the extent this is massively preventative, you'd think that you could get funding that's a lot potentially larger than just the subscription from folks doing it.
Yeah, exactly, and that's our plan for early next year. We kind of want to build it out and prove that this is something that women use, and they keep using it month over month. And but we know, especially HMOs, where the people who are paying for care are directly tied into seeing benefits. Like they're the ones that are going to reap the rewards with if you find cancer in stage 0 or stage 1 or 2 versus stage 4. So.
There's a really strong emotional connection for women who have or had breast cancer, and so we think that if we can build this following, this grassroots effort that we've already started to build on Instagram, there's really nothing out there for consumers. So how do we touch them first, and then how do we show that there is a viable model here and we can make a difference? That will be our next step, not too far away, to connect with those HMOs, insurance companies. And the biggest thing we want to do is, one of the biggest barriers is access. So how do we get this to as many women as possible? And we see insurance companies, HMOs, the best way to educate women and empower them to learn more about their health.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, this really is impressive for 5 weeks. So congratulations on all the accolades thus far. So I also have a business model question. So what do I get for $3 a month? So from a subscription standpoint, what?
So the ability to connect the app, if you go to the app screen, the ability to connect to the button in the app, the ability to access a community. So women are actually sharing pictures of their breasts already on Instagram. And so we kind of want to make it a little bit more closed community in that respect. And then also, future phases will be able to compile this all into a report and actually share data with their doctor. Down the line, once we work through some HIPAA issues, we'd like to be able to actually share pictures over the app. So in the beginning, it's going to be just a PDF accumulation of the journal entries, and we can do that already. So those are the premium features. One of the reasons why we want to charge we want to give access to the most important features for
Yep.
free, but based off ID UX. So charging after the fact,
Yep.
you get a lot of upset people, a lot of upset customers. So kind of setting that standard up front.
So as somebody's done a lot of stuff in the app world, I love this app. I think there's an enormous market for it. I want millions of people using it yesterday, but I want that first. So I want this to be ubiquitous, and I think it can be. So I would give away the app. I would sell the button for whatever you want. And then if you really want a subscription, do it later and do it for enormous value adds. But I want this thing in people's hands because I think it's that compelling.
Yeah.
And I think you'll, for whatever future money you need for distribution, investment, more engineers, you can easily get that once you have 1 million users. And I think you'll get that quickly. And then you can easily align yourself with some of these larger breast cancer organizations or whomever, Rally Software, United Healthcare, any of these people, I think will adopt this quickly. So it's exciting. I think it's very exciting.
I totally agree with, free. This is definitely a business model that we're looking at. We have to test a couple different models. Based off the charge, it's smaller compared to other femtech apps out there. But ideally, if we can get these partnerships and get things going, that I definitely.
You can always get money later from, if you have an installed user base, you really can. Just get it into people's hands, show the functionality, show that people love it, and then, I don't know, ask for money later. That's one person's
Well, especially
view.
since you're selling the hardware, right? So you don't have no revenue stream. You have that revenue stream. And the problem is, truthfully, you're not giving me enough value to pay for this. Like, I'm not going to want to pay for this. But you can imagine doing more value. And so a freemium. This is free. You'll do some freemium. You don't have the freemium yet. I have so much resonance with what Julian just said.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Really exciting.
Globally, there are more than 500 million social entrepreneurs, according to the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor. In the US alone, social enterprise is a $500 billion industry that employs over 10 million people. Jesse and I are social entrepreneurs, and one of the biggest problems is that social entrepreneurs work in isolation and repeatedly reinvent the square wheel. A month ago, I was talking to an impact investor, and she told me that in the last year alone, they received over 50 proposals for solar stoves. Now, this is amazing because solar stoves are great. But it's also problematic because these social enterprises work in isolation, each reinventing the square wheel, sinking vast amounts of money into research and development rather than building upon the work already done by their peers. This is a shame because this phenomenon of reinvention of the square wheel is a problem that we've already solved. Not in social entrepreneurship, but in tech. Open source software development. The idea that we can all come out ahead if we put our best ideas together and collaborate. Jesse and I want to create such a culture of open collaboration among social entrepreneurs and build the world's largest platform of open collaboration projects. Call us the GitHub for social enterprise. Instead of code, people open source business plans, curriculum, research, strategy, and best practices. When you make your work open source, our platform is free to use. But it turns out that what makes open collaboration successful is of tremendous value also for collaboration within teams and organizations. And so if you'd like to keep your work private, we do charge a monthly subscription fee for that. Listen to some of the findings from our customer validation over this past 6 months.
After interviewing 100 organizations, we found 3 major team collaboration problems. 1, although 95% use a cloud service like Google Drive to collaborate on files, many find this process to be chaotic. 2, people on average spend 2 hours per week looking for files and manually updating coworkers on important file changes. 3, about 3/4 of the organizations lack a documentation procedure, meaning organizational knowledge is lost once team members leave, mistakes are repeated, and processes have to be reinvented. Upshift One tackles this for you and your collaborators, whether that's your team or the world at large, to cut through the chaos of collaboration and keep everyone on the same page. And here's how we do it.
At the core, our platform integrates with Google Drive and looks and works just like it. Think of us as a different interface for interacting with your Google Drive files. We then extend Google Drive's functionality. First, we make it really easy for you to organize your files into projects. This builds structure and makes finding files easy. We also create one central place for all your organization's projects. So say goodbye to being out of the loop. Second, we add version control functionality. This is Git in your browser. Within each project, we track any and all changes you make to files. Whenever you like, you can commit changes and use commit messages to capture organizational learning and additional context right alongside file changes. Your project's revision history page then serves to inform collaborators of latest updates. Coworkers have access to files and context, and supervisors can check on progress. Third, we're creating a searchable directory of open collaboration projects. Every project comes with tags, description, and location to help you find the projects that matter most.
When you put all these features together, magic happens. Say you're running an educational venture. You can use Upshift 1 to first keep everyone on the same page and document your organizational knowledge. 2, you can use Upshift to check out other educational ventures, open source curricula and best practices, build upon them for your own work. 3, you can also use Upshift to identify new collaborators elsewhere in the world and extend your organizational impact. We know this works because GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbucket's models are just like this for code. We do what they do, but for social enterprises using Google Drive. So far, we've achieved our milestones of interviewing 100 organizations ranging from environmental B Corps to tech startups and traditional for-profit enterprises. We then built our MVP and are testing it with our testers from the Impact Hub, Watson University, and Cultures of Dignity. We're able to make this happen thanks to our awesome team and advisory board. My co-founder, Finn, is a Ruby on Rails programmer with more than 10 years of coding experience. For me, this is my second tech startup. Our advisors also have a wide range of skills from rapid prototyping, business financials, software, and community outreach. We aim to create a future where solar stove inventions don't come in quantity, but in quality, and that our resources are spent not reinventing the wheel, but building upon each other's work. Thank you.
So the technology you described, I love the social aspect, and I love anything that we can do to be more efficient there and bring people together and leverage the experiences. But while you were going through the technology, it sounded more like it had a broader potential than just social. Yep. It sounded like you're making, it sounded a little bit like Slack or one of these other tools that is enabling you to leverage all the shared documents and the collaboration. Talk to me about the social aspect and how does this apply specifically to that? Or are you thinking that's just the first kind of vertical or the first area you go after?
Totally. Yeah, you're right. I mean, this could be used in any kind of organization. And it is this very similar market to Slack and Trello. It's a productivity app space. For us, the social impact is just really important because we're both from that community and we want to ultimately create a better world. And we also find that, especially when it comes to collaboration, social impact organizations are best aligned to that because they have the ultimate goal of making the world a better place. And so it lends itself more to collaboration. And so that is like the main industry that we go after.
Is it open or is it a closed system? Because a lot of the other ones you just described are closed, right? They're for communities of interest or they're for organizations.
You mean like,
is this?
Mm-hmm. You mean like GitHub or what are you?
No, like Slack, like the productivity tools, right? But is this, you're proposing this be an open?
This is an open thing, yeah. You can't have a closed one that you'll pay for on a monthly basis.
So when you do your customer discovery, what is the biggest draw to this? To not use, as you said, existing either Slack or Google Drive or whatever? Like, what are the things that's not meeting their need that they're like, wow, we really need this?
Yeah, so a lot of the users already use Google Drive, and so it's paying for them to use another platform to collaborate internally. But at the same time, while using Google Drive lack a project-wide version control, meaning, yes, you can go into each file and see who edited what during what time, but your collaborators, on the other hand, your team members, don't know why you change what you change, and Google Drive only has a file base versus we have a project base.
Got it.
At the same time, your question about open is that Google Drive doesn't help people to share their files to everyone. Like you can share it personally to one organization or the other, but there's not like a central place for all these decentralized information.
So my favorite line of this whole presentation was extending Google Drive functionality. So I really like that as a potential business, because I think there's a lot of room there. Can you walk us through kind of a compelling use scenario for this so that we get a broader understanding of it? I think I get the gist of it.
Yeah, totally. Like an organization could be an organization that does. Right now, for example, one we're working with is Cultures of Dignity, and they have curriculum, anti-bullying curriculum that they give out to schools.
Yep.
And so they work with different schools in Colorado, some in Texas, all over the place. And what they want is their schools make modifications to their syllabi. And they want to be able to have those schools exchange with each other the improvements that they have made. And if they figure out, oh, this question really engages the audience, really engages the students. And so that would be one where they're already using Google Drive.
Sure.
And they need some kind of way for them to share with other schools what's going on.
Is this a plugin? How do I integrate this solution? How do I access this?
So it's a web platform. This is my profile, for example. I have projects. You can work with collaborators. You can import your files from Google Drive. We don't store any of these files. We simply have access to them.
Right.
And then you can, commit changes through writing a short summary of why you made changes you made, and then share it with your collaborators.
It seems like so there is a need for a project, but the other thing that I think you're doing that's interesting is so many of these social entrepreneurs have not a lot of money, they want big impact, and they're doing the same thing.
Got it.
So another thing is, I think, to also create a community around what's happening within social entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
And increasing communication, and that's slightly different, right? So it's extending Google, but it's extending it particularly for this very specific need, and I think niche needs are interesting, and I think if you have the customer discovery that backs up that, hey, we would like to do that, we'd like to know what else other people are doing, it makes sense to me there'd be an appetite for that.
Are any of you users of GitHub?
Yes.
You have? Yeah. Yes, there's this really interesting phenomenon where version control is this really big thing in the programming space. And every programmer you talk to, once they've used version control once, can not imagine going back to ever working without a version control system. And so many of the programmers end up using version control not just for code, but also for documents. And so we're wondering, from our own experience as programmers, is there not value in bringing this version control, project-wide version control, tracking of what happened to files, knowing who is the last person who did
That's
this,
actually a better way to
Drive.
describe it, how you just articulated
Yeah.
that. I think that's very helpful, kind of for future presentations, because that's a great
Make a note.
proxy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
3 years ago, I was working an internship at a regional lobbying group in Colorado. Alongside coffee runs and phone calls, my primary responsibility was the handling and documentation of all legislation relevant to the group. This was handled in a 3-ring binder, about 4 inches thick, full of past, pending, and introduced legislation. Anytime the organization took a new stance or updated an old position, I would sort through the stack, locate the bill of interest, scour the state website, piece together the information I need, print it off, and replace the legislation. Rinse, repeat, 40 hours a week for 3 months. I'm Keaton, I'm a co-founder of State Hill, and we're on a mission to connect legislative data around the world. We address 2 primary problems facing the global government affairs industry. First, policymaking is distributed. Distributed in terms of the many institutions, from the national levels to the local levels, that can simultaneously create and implement rules and regulations, all impacting businesses and consumers in varying degrees. From this, we encounter problem 2. Legislative data is messy. The disorganized nature of distributed policymaking across different levels of government and cultures creates a chaotic slew of legislative information. Not to mention the sheer volume of legislation grows year over year. Effectively keeping track of and communicating what is going on in one legislature, let alone multiple, becomes increasingly complex. At the core, State Hill is a database of well-organized information. We exist to build tools that enable a more productive and navigable legislative process, empowering businesses and organizations to analyze the issues and position resources effectively through integrated technology and data. Our completely automated process involves ingesting as much information as possible, normalizing it, presenting the information in complete understandable formats, and layering the data with a suite of productivity and analytical tools. The result? No more digging through endless web pages and documents to find the information you're looking for. The best way to understand what we do is to look directly in-app. Here are 4 screenshots from State Hill along with their primary source beneath. From left to right, you see bills from Colorado, Congress, the EU Parliament, and the UK Parliament. Across these 4 legislatures, what stands out isn't the differences across 4 contrasting legislatures, but the striking similarities within the State Hill app. Looking more closely at a congressional screenshot, you can see the thoughtful combination of 36 individual sources and hundreds of documents. Our legislator profiles transform data into actionable insight. In addition to connecting all relevant information about elected officials in one place, we analyze the data to help identify successes and failures and create opportunities to advocate more effectively. Currently, our geographic reach includes 53 legislatures in app, along with 7 in beta development, spanning multiple systems of government across 4 continents. Following a B2B software as a service subscription model combined with self-funding, we've been able to remain very lean, agile, and responsive to market trends and customer feedback. Looking towards market potential, in addition to the $4 billion reported spent on lobbying in the US, the global market for legal and compliance software is expected to nearly triple, from $22 billion to $64 billion by 2025. We seek to capitalize on this spending, picking up the long tail from small to medium-sized entities. The potential to continue growing with this market is immense. Corporations, law firms, nonprofits, professional associations, lobbyist firms, governments, and more. As politics plays an increasingly larger role, penetrating all facets of an organization, the case for actively participating and leveraging the power of a data-centric platform is becoming less of a luxury and more of a necessity. Across the competitive landscape, we see several legacy players focused on the US market. Currently, 3 companies have an international legislative data presence. Among these 3, State Hill stands out as affordable yet feature-rich, offering high-quality data at a significantly lower price point. Our immediate short-term goal is to continue building a foundation for growth. Product-wise, we've never been better. As it currently stands, we anticipate year-over-year revenue growth as well as product and data set expansion. Our opportunity to grow is now. Building more, faster, selling more, faster. Our international team consists of myself, Alex in Brussels, American Carl, and Swedish Carl. 3 nationalities coming together, working our hardest to disrupt the political tech industry and help shape the future of legislative affairs. Our customers are the real champions and biggest advocates of State Hill, and their words say it best. While only a sample of our customer base, as you can see, on both sides of the pond, State Hill is already adding value to client operations. From the state capital to the world, we are excited about increasing access to information. We stand at the forefront of the shift to more productive, tech-integrated, and transparent government systems. We are well on our way to solving a multi-billion-dollar problem. Are you part of the answer? Thank you.
One, this is excellent. This is cool. When I read this, your summary here, I was really interested in this. How is there no solution for this right now? If I'm in LA, if I'm a legislative assistant working for congressman or senator, and I need to query things, how do I do that? There's no electronic database for that?
No, I mean, there's state government websites, which we scrape our information from, but horribly organized. If any states cut corners on anything, it's state websites.
Yeah.
So in my experience, I mean, it took literally 40 hours a week keeping up with this. Our co-founder, Carl, just had a spreadsheet that he used. Politics is a very old school industry.
And you can tell me anything right now, and I have to believe you, so you can tell me anything. But the LexisNexis doesn't cover this? There's nobody rolls all this up.
No, yes. So LexisNexis is more focused on statutes and kind of historic databases. Where we're much more focused on the now. We're involved with people involved in the political process now. So supporting or opposing a bill, looking at who's voting what, that sort of thing.
And describe your document mining to me. To me, this feels enormous. Mm-hmm. And when you say you're aggregating these documents, how do you do that?
Yep, so we built custom scrapers for every legislature we're looking at. All scrapers are written in JavaScript, our data is crunched in Python, and then we're big fans of Amazon Web Services, so that just collects it together. Yeah. But all publicly available information just horrendously spread out throughout the internet. So we just make that much more simple.
And the market's enormous, isn't it?
Yeah.
This becomes the solution.
Yeah, as I said, it's supposed to triple from about 22 billion to 64 billion.
I don't even care about pretend numbers. I think it's an there's tremendous potential here.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Who's the lead? Where are you now in the process?
Yeah, so like I said, we have customers already. I did read before that you sold a company to Disney. We just brought on the Walt Disney Company's European operations as a client last month. And so we have experienced a lot of growth within the last 4 to 5 months. As I mentioned before, we were looking at about $30K in revenue last year. I can't give you an exact figure for this year, but I can tell you we expect that to grow substantially. We're in talks with a lot of large companies. I can't go much into that without distributing 50 NDAs for everyone to sign, but in talks with multiple Fortune 50 companies at this point.
Your database, your tools are rich enough that you're actually closing deals with major players.
Yes.
So where do you go from here? Like you say, it's an MVP now. So is it more data? Is it more services to parse that data? Like what next?
Yeah. So last year was our MVP. Right now, product's completely solid. Really, what we need to do now. We've built the rocket. We've filled the tanks. We're just waiting for someone to light the match. Likely we would see bringing on an industry professional. Politics is a very political industry, who would have guessed, but somebody with connections, likely in DC since we already have a guy in Brussels, but that would be our likely next move.
Are any of these documents behind something that's locked, or are they all publicly accessible?
All publicly accessible. So every legislature publishes what's going on, who's voting what, and we just aggregate that and analyze it.
It's interesting you said your customers that you've already gotten that you're talking about are more enterprise. When you gave your pitch, I thought for sure you were talking about lobbyists and government. I was like, okay, it's a gigantic market, but I wasn't thinking Fortune 50.
Yeah. So originally last year, where our money was coming from was a lot of trade associations, people specific to natural resources, or we had city chambers of commerce using it, a lot more localized organizations. We envisioned a shift to corporations large enough to have a government relations team, people who are interested in multiple legislatures at the same time. We can accommodate, we have 2-person teams here in Colorado just looking at Colorado legislation, but we think the much bigger market is going after these big fish, so to speak, that are looking at a lot of different markets with a lot of different people using the platform.
So is the next step getting a sales team that can actually, or customer relations or whatever, that can unlock these big accounts? I assume that's sort of next step for you? I don't know.
Yep, so we're prying at that, and like I said, we're making some progress within it, but having an actual sales team, kind of hard to do that finishing up college here, but moving on to that, I think.
Are you in graduate school? I'm sure you said.
Undergrad, so
wow,
graduating here in a couple months.
Impressive. There's an issue here with a lack of coverage, right? Like you either have to be all or nothing. You can't be half-assed, right? So you have to have complete document coverage in order for this to be the utility I want it to be, right? It's fascinating, though. I mean, how do you solve that? How do you continue to monitor it? How do you do all that?
Yeah, so like we always like to say, State Hill is never finished. We're constantly building.
Right.
We've scraped everything people would be interested in at this point. We're moving on to extra things. Right now, we're looking in natural language processing with social media, so we can gauge and predict how likely a bill is to pass or not based on the social feedback.
Yeah, there's a ton you can do there. Really interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, very cool.
Sorry.
First off, before we get to the rankings and who the winners are, I just want to say that we collectively were absolutely blown away by the quality of the companies and really the quality of the people who presented tonight. So it was absolutely extraordinary, and I think Krista said it best, and I'm probably stealing her line, but that she is hopeful now for the future of our society, really. In large part due to the event tonight. But it was really, it was fun to judge this event and be a part of it, and really exciting, the amount of work that went in, and really the ideas people came up with and how they intend to develop it. So anyway, thanks for having us. With that, I'll let you
take a turn to me.
Yeah.
I will just add to that and say we were also talking and saying how we have been to finals that weren't at this level. So really at the highest level, hats off to you. I do invest in companies, and I'd love to talk to all of you, so that's from the heart. I said to Brad, I was like, this is really fun, but now let's make money on some of these companies. And that's really, right at the end of the day, that's what you want from an investor. We had a tie for third, and it's my privilege to get to share that. So both Norma and Harth were both tied for third. I want to say a couple things about each company. Norma, I want to say, I don't know that any of us have seen so much progress in 5 weeks. if you actually had a little more time, I don't know, you might have taken the whole freaking thing. You guys are on fire, you're mission driven, you're meeting a deep need, and the amount you've accomplished in such a short time gives me goosebumps, like goosebumps. Who doesn't want to freaking be part of that? Hearth, as you know, I'm ready to put my order in. I need it. You're meeting a need. There's a thing that's happening, and it's been happening. And we were so excited about Nest, and I'm so excited to buy Nest. I have Nest in my home. And I sort of thought that was like the pinnacle. And like, what a freaking no-brainer. You've just taken it to another level. Like, it seems obvious in hindsight, but that's what great innovation is. So beautifully done. Look forward to having it in my home.
The second place winner is State Hill. And another example where just completely blown away at the progress that you've made. When you said that you were a graduating senior, I thought back to, man, this guy's a lot more productive than it was a senior in undergrad. You've got a giant market opportunity. It's definitely a need. You can see as you demonstrated Fortune 50, Fortune 1000 kind of customers using this, not to mention the government and other areas around that. It's amazing. You've already got customers. You're already getting traction. Good feedback. Your pitch was very strong. You'll do well in front of fundraising. So congratulations and great progress.
Yeah. It was so that leaves us with the winner, and it was something we actually kind of debated at length. But we all felt really good about this company, the presentation, the potential to market, and really even where the product is today, and that's Beauty Book. We really felt I think there's really a lot there. I think the addressable market is extraordinary. I think the fact that you are an active participant even today told us that you really had sophistication with that market. I don't know what the number is, but I know that the makeup industry is massive. I liked your explanation for how you tie sort of user-generated content with the actual companies themselves. To me, that feels like a linear link to actual transactions. Krista once again brought up some great points around video, how video could really be compelling. But for your thinking to date, your presentation style, your intellectual horsepower, really extraordinary. So congratulations.
Beautifully done.
Once again, thanks to everybody. We really did debate a number of different companies, so it could have gone either way on a couple of these. So congratulations to everybody who participated. That was really a lot of fun, and thanks for having us. And please come up to any of us and ask questions as you kind of go along this adventure of creating a company and managing a company and scaling a company. I think we can help out in a number of different ways. So thank you.